If you want to walk the path of success, but you do not have the time to read all the books you have to read, this video is for you. For 18 minutes of your time, you are going to get the juice of How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. Dale Carnegie was a very successful salesman that had the idea of starting a course in public speaking. By 1936, Dale published the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, which sold over 5 million copies, in 31 languages. This book is a must-read for all of us, who want to walk the path of success. We know it is hard to find the time, to read all the books you must read to be successful. So, we have compressed 214 pages, into a 18 minutes video. This book is arranged into 4 main topics. Part 1, Techniques in Handling People. Part 2, 6 Ways to Make People Like You. Part 3, How to Win People to Your Way of Thinking. Part 4, Be a Leader, How to Change People Without Giving Offense or Arousing Resentment. Techniques in Handling People. First principle, do not criticize, condemn, or complain. We are not able to make real changes by criticizing people, and we are instead often met with resentment. It is important to remember that when dealing with people, we are dealing not with creatures of logic, but with creatures of emotion, who are motivated by pride and ego. Criticism is futile, because it puts a person on the defensive, and usually makes them strive to justify themselves. B.F. Skinner, the world-famous psychologist, proved through his experiments that an animal rewarded for good behavior will learn much more rapidly and retain what it learns far more effectively than an animal punished for bad behavior. Later studies have shown that the same applies to humans. By criticizing, we do not make lasting changes, and often incur resentment. The resentment that criticism engenders can demoralize employees, family members, and friends, and still not correct the situation. Second principle, give honest and sincere appreciation. There is only one way to get anybody to do anything. And that is, by making other people want to do it. Of course, you can make someone want to give you his watch by sticking a revolver in his ribs. You can make your employees give you cooperation until your back is turned by threatening to fire them. But these crude methods have sharply undesirable repercussions. The only way I can get you to do anything is by giving you what you want. So what do you want? Some of the things most people want include health and the preservation of life, food, sleep, money and the things money will buy, life in the hereafter, sexual gratification, the well-being of our children, a feeling of importance. Almost all these wants are usually satisfied, all except one. There is one longing, almost as deep, almost as imperious, as the desire for food or sleep, which is seldom gratified. It is what Freud calls the desire to be great. It is what Dewey calls the desire to be important. One of the most neglected virtues of our daily existence is appreciation. Somehow, we neglect to praise our son or daughter when he or she brings home a good report card, and we fail to encourage our children when they first succeed in baking a cake or building a birdhouse. Nothing pleases children more than this kind of parental interest and approval. The next time you enjoy filet mignon at the club, send word to the chef that it was excellently prepared, and when a tired salesperson shows you unusual courtesy, please mention it. In our interpersonal relations, we should never forget that all our associates are human beings, and hunger for appreciation. It is a legal tender that all souls enjoy. Third principle, arouse in the other person an eager want. Perhaps your favorite dessert is strawberry cheesecake. Now, if you were to go fishing, would you bait your hook with cheesecake? Of course not. That is what you like, but fish prefer worms. Lloyd George, Great Britain's Prime Minister during World War I, who stayed in power long after the other wartime leaders had been forgotten, was asked how he managed to remain on top. His response, he had learned that it is necessary to bait the hook to suit the fish. In other words, give people what they want, not what you want. Of course you are interested in what you want. But no one else is. The rest of us are just like you, we are interested in what we want. To convince someone to do something, we have to frame it in terms of what motivates them. And to do that, we have to be able to see things from their point of view, as well as our own. Most salespeople spend a lifetime selling without seeing things from the customer's angle, wondering why they're not successful, as they completely ignore the customer's needs. If we can put aside our thoughts, opinions, and wants, and truly see things from another person's perspective, we will be able to convince them that it is in their best interest to do whatever it is we're after. The world is full of people who are grabbing and self-seeking. So, the rare individual who unselfishly tries to serve others has an enormous advantage. He has little competition. Part 2: 6 Ways to Make People Like You. Principle 1: Become genuinely interested in other people. You can make more friends in 2 months by being interested in them, than in 2 years by making them interested in you. The only way to make quality, lasting friendships, is to learn to be genuinely interested in them and their interests. If you want others to like you, if you want to develop real friendships, if you want to help others at the same time as you help yourself, keep this principle in mind. Principle 2: Smile. Happiness does not depend on outside circumstances, but rather on inward attitudes. Smiles are free to give, and have an amazing ability to make others feel wonderful. Smile in everything that you do. Your smile is a messenger of your goodwill. Your smile brightens the lives of all who see it. To someone who has seen a dozen people frown, scowl, or turn their faces away, your smile is like the sun breaking through the clouds. Especially when that someone is under pressure from his bosses, his customers, his teachers or parents or children, a smile can help him realize that all is not hopeless, that there is joy in the world. Principle 3: Remember that a person's name is to that person the sweetest and most important sound in any language. The average person is more interested in their own name than in all the other names in the world put together. People love their names so much that they will often donate large amounts of money just to have a building named after themselves. We can make people feel extremely valued and important by remembering their name. We should be aware of the magic contained in a name and realize that this single item is wholly and completely owned by the person with whom we are dealing and nobody else. Principle 4: Be a good listener. Encourage others to talk about themselves. The easiest way to become a good conversationalist is to become a good listener. To be a good listener, we must actually care about what people have to say. Many times, people don't want an entertaining conversation partner, they just want someone who will listen to them. So, if you aspire to be a good conversationalist, be an attentive listener. To be interesting, be interested. Ask questions that other persons will enjoy answering. Encourage them to talk about themselves and their accomplishments. Remember that the people you are talking to are 100 times more interested in themselves and their wants and problems than they are in you and your problems. A person's toothache means more to that person than a famine in China which kills 1 million people. A boil on one's neck interests one more than 40 earthquakes in Africa. Think of that the next time you start a conversation. Principle 5: Talk in terms of the other person's interests. The royal road to a person's heart is to talk about the things he or she treasures most. If we talk to people about what they are interested in, they will feel valued and value us in return. Talking in terms of the other person's interests pays off for both parties. Howard Z. Herzig, a leader in the field of employee communications, has always followed this principle. When asked what reward he got from it, Mr. Herzig responded that he not only received a different reward from each person, but that, in general, the reward had been an enlargement of his life, each time he spoke to someone. Principle 6: Make the other person feel important, and do it sincerely. The golden rule is to treat other people how we would like to be treated. We love to feel important, and so does everyone else. People will talk to us for hours, if we allow them to talk about themselves. If we can make people feel important in a sincere and appreciative way, then we will win all the friends we could ever dream of. Part 3. 12 Ways to Win People to Your Way of Thinking. Principle 1. The only way to get the best of an argument is to avoid it. Whenever we argue with someone, no matter if we win or lose the argument, we still lose. The other person will either feel humiliated or strengthened, and will only seek to bolster their own position. We must try to avoid arguments, whenever we can. Principle 2. Show respect for the other person's opinions. Never say you're wrong. We must never tell people flat out that they are wrong. It will only serve to offend them and insult their pride. No one likes to be humiliated, we must not be so blunt. Principle 3. If you're wrong, admit it quickly and emphatically. Whenever we are wrong, we should admit it immediately. When we fight, we never get enough, but by yielding we often get more than we expected. When we admit that we are wrong, people trust us and begin to sympathize with our way of thinking. Principle 4. Begin in a friendly way. A drop of honey can catch more flies than a gallon of gall. If we begin our interactions with others in a friendly way, people will be more receptive. Even if we are greatly upset, we must be friendly to influence people to our way of thinking. Principle 5. Start with questions to which the other person will answer yes. Do not begin by emphasizing the aspects in which we and the other person differ. Begin by emphasizing, and continue emphasizing, the things on which we agree. People must be started in the affirmative direction, and they will often follow readily. Never tell someone they are wrong, but rather lead them where we'd like them to go, with questions that they will answer yes to. Principle 6. Let the other person do a great deal of the talking. People do not like listening to us boast, they enjoy doing the talking themselves. Let them rationalize, and talk about the idea, because it will taste much sweeter to them in their own mouth. Principle 7. Let the other person feel the idea is his or hers. People inherently like ideas they come to on their own better than those that are handed to them on a platter. Ideas can best be carried out by allowing others to think they arrived at it themselves. Principle 8. Try honestly to see things from the other person's point of view. Other people may often be wrong, but we cannot condemn them. We must seek to understand them. Success in dealing with people requires a sympathetic grasp of the other person's viewpoint. Principle 9. Be sympathetic with the other person's ideas and desires. People are hungering for sympathy. They want us to recognize all that they desire and feel. If we can sympathize with others, they will appreciate our side as well, and will often come around to our way of thinking. Principle 10. Appeal to the nobler motives. Everyone likes to be glorious in their own eyes. People believe that they do things for noble and morally upright reasons. If we can appeal to others' noble motives, we can successfully convince them to follow our ideas. Principle 11. Dramatize your ideas. In this fast-paced world, simply stating a truth isn't enough. The truth must be made vivid, interesting, and dramatic. Television has been doing it for years. Sometimes ideas are not enough, and we must dramatize them. Principle 12. Throw down a challenge. The thing that most motivates people is the game. Everyone desires to excel and prove their worth. If we want someone to do something, we must give them a challenge, and they will often rise to meet it. Part 4. Be a leader, how to change people without giving offense or arousing resentment. Principle 1. Begin with praise and honest appreciation. People will do things begrudgingly for criticism and an iron-fisted leader, but they will work wonders when they are praised and appreciated. Beginning with praise is like the dentist who begins his work with Novocaine. The patient still gets a drilling, but the Novocaine is pain-killing. Principle 2. Call attention to people's mistakes indirectly. No one likes to make mistakes, especially in front of others. Scolding and blaming only serve to humiliate. If we subtly and indirectly show people mistakes, they will appreciate us and be more likely to improve. Principle 3. Talk about your own mistakes before criticizing the other person. When something goes wrong, taking responsibility can help win others to your side. People do not like to shoulder all the blame, and taking credit for mistakes helps to remove the sting from our critiques of others. Principle 4. Ask questions instead of giving direct orders. No one likes to take orders. If we offer suggestions, rather than orders, it will boost others' confidence and allow them to learn quickly from their mistakes. Principle 5. Let the other person save face. Nothing diminishes the dignity of a man quite like an insult to his pride. If we don't condemn our employees in front of others, and allow them to save face, they will be motivated to do better in the future, and confident that they can. Even if we are right, and the other person is definitely wrong, we only destroy ego by causing someone to lose face. The legendary French aviation pioneer and author, Antoine de Saint-Exupéry wrote, "I have no right to say or do anything that diminishes a man in his own eyes. What matters is not what I think of him, but what he thinks of himself. Hurting a man in his dignity is a crime." Principle 6. Praise every improvement. People love to receive praise and admiration. If we truly want someone to improve at something, we must praise their every advance. Abilities wither under criticism, they blossom under encouragement. Principle 7. Give the other person a fine reputation to live up to. If we give people a great reputation to live up to, they will desire to embody the characteristics with which we have described them. People will work with vigor and confidence if they believe they can be better. Principle 8. Use encouragement. Make the fault seem easy to correct. If a desired outcome seems like a momentous task, people will give up and lose heart. But if a fault seems easy to correct, they will readily jump at the opportunity to improve. If we frame objectives as small and easy improvements, we will see dramatic increases in desire and success in our employees. Principle 9. Make the other person happy about doing what you suggest. People will most often respond well when they desire to do the behavior put forth. If we want to influence people and become effective leaders, we must learn to frame our desires in terms of others' desires. It is naive to believe you will always get a favorable reaction from other persons when you use these approaches. But the experience of most people shows that you're more likely to change attitudes this way than by not using these principles. If you increase your successes by even a mere 10%, you've become 10% more effective as a leader than you were before, and that is your benefit. And this was the summary of How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. I hope you've enjoyed it. Better than this summary, only the original book. You can purchase it through the link below, in the description of this video. If you've liked this content, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. See you in the next video.